It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant Pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Welcome into Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks for being with us. I'm Madelyn Burke. He is the John Schmeelk.
Hello.
The phone number here is 201-939-4513. You can find us on social using hashtag GiantsChat. As a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, on podcast platforms everywhere, and on giants.com/podcast. Schmeelk.
And the Giants YouTube channel, by the way.
And the Giants
yes.
YouTube channel. We are multimedia.
We have to update that copy, sorry.
Worldwide. The World Wide Web. It's all of the world. Schmeelk, it's been toasty all week, but today we got a little bit of a plot twist. It's the first day of August. Happy August, August 1st, rabbit. And it is chilly.
It was cold.
I'm in a hoodie.
I purposely put on. It's funny. I went downstairs. I'll take you through my morning, folks. I know you're very interested. I get dressed very
Suddenly,
quickly.
I was awake.
I get dressed very quickly. I go downstairs and I take the dog out real quick. And I'm wearing the usual T-shirt and shorts. And I'm like, ooh, this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I look at the weather. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go long sleeves today. I think it's good. Go a little long sleeves. Get out there. Was not enough. I should have put a little jacket on or something. And you could tell because these coaches will go out there. They usually do not wear extra clothes if they don't have to. Yeah. And everyone
some of them are in full hoodies in 90 degrees just because they want to sweat.
Yes, because they want to lose water weight. I never understood that, but whatever. So I'm like, I should have worn a jacket. I did not because it was. I think it said it was supposed to be in the 70s. That did not feel like the 70s. That was 65 windy, no sun.
Yeah, I
Cold.
thought it was going to be in the 70s. I wore a long sleeve and then my tennis skirt, as I always do, thinking, okay, the long sleeves will keep me warm. I was actually a little bit worried I'd be too warm once it got to, mid-practice.
Wrong.
I had to skedaddle on inside, go upstairs, and I'm like, who can I beg for a sweatshirt? So shout out to that.
Oh, so that was a Mercy sweatshirt.
It was a Mercy sweatshirt.
Okay.
I looked sad enough. They're like, all right, fine, we'll give you another piece of swag.
There was nothing wrong with Mercy gear. I am all in favor of Mercy gear.
It's like, this right here saved me from pneumonia.
See,
Slightly dramatic.
Pearson has tried that before, but nobody cares about his well-being, so he hasn't gotten any Mercy gear.
You got to work on the sad eyes, Pearson.
Yes, he does have to work on the sad eyes. He comes up he shows up with this Boston accent, and people immediately tune him out. Is the problem?
Exactly. From Boston.
I'm cold. I need some gear.
It's
and
cold
then
out here.
Then they just say no.
Yeah.
No, sir. Go away.
No, get a nice warm Dunkin'. Another padded practice today. Back in the pads, back out there on the field. Schmeelk, what was your big takeaway? Defense had a good day.
I would say it was
Speaking of takeaways.
It was a defensive-oriented practice, at least in the secondary, not the names you might expect. You had some big names. I'll give those to you first. You had a couple would-be sacks from Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, a couple run stops from the linebackers, Micah McFadden, Okereke, Darius Musa, a nice job meeting a running back in the hole on one play. But then especially later in practice, Madelyn, you would defensive backs getting their hands on the football.
Yeah.
Tyler Newman had an interception. Granted, that was basically almost like a Hail Mary pass with 2 seconds to go in a 2-minute drill. It counts, but I'm not going to kill the quarterbacks for that one. You got to try to make a play. You're down. Yeah. They did 3 scenarios at the practice. So they had 3 2-minute situations where they basically, the first 2 teams with Russell Wilson and Dart, the teams were down by more than 3 points. So they needed a touchdown. They had about a minute 30 or so. All the details will be on my practice report on Giants.com to go 80 yards with 1 timeout. So Russell Wilson got it inside the 30. He had 1 play left, and he just threw it up there, and Newman got the pick. Yeah. Good play. Prevented the score. The defense did not allow a touchdown in any 3 of those possessions, by the way. Good job by the defense. But then it was some less heralded players that were getting their hands on the football.
Well, Dane Belton is also heralded.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I did not get that on my practice report.
Yeah,
I was
Dane
rushing
Belton,
towards the end. That is correct.
Dane Belton, he's got, he's known to take away the ball every once in a while in a practice, and he came up with one as well today.
Yeah, no, he did. That was in the last team period where he basically jumped a quick route to the left sideline, I think it was, right? Yeah. It was slightly downfield, and he jumped it, picked it off, and ran that back for what would be score. But it was D. Williams who had 2 interceptions, 1 to close out one of the final team periods. It was the next to last play, and then the next to last team period he had a pick as well. Both down the right sideline from Tommy DeVito, 1 a back shoulder attempt to Daquan Felton, and he got his hands on it. The other one was more of a jump ball type of play to Dalen Cambry, and he jumped and got that interception. So a couple really nice picks from him.
Yeah, one-handed interception. It's a great day when you get a pick. It's a great day when you get 2 picks and a couple pass breakups from D. Williams. But it is something that Shane Bowen has been saying since the spring. Defensive coordinator Shane Bowen really putting an emphasis on takeaways. I mean, last season, Giants were near the bottom of the NFL. They only had 15 takeaways and a turnover differential of -8. This year, Shane Bowen, inspired by his son's Little League team, the Pirates, has a turnover chest on the side of the field. We talked about this a little bit in spring, but I'm going to remind Giants fans out there who maybe are, just now tuning into the training camp version of BBK. Shane Bowen's turnover chest is a storyline here. It's a pirate chest because his son's Little League team is called the Pirates, and he thought, well, that's a great mentality to instill, and what you focus on is what you get. And he's focusing on takeaways. Essentially, you take away a ball in practice, you put it in the chest. Are you happy about that? Yes, I don't know. You get some piracy going in there. But
do you have to yell "arg" when you put the ball in the chest?
I don't think they do, but I will.
Okay.
It's like, are you sure it got in there? Did you see where that pass was supposed to go? I don't know. I mean, you could do all the
good play, matey, all that stuff.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
He threw the pass to starboard. To port.
And then play all that, like the North Sea, those sounds. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I think anytime there's something that, you have a little fun with and you really emphasize, it's good. But 4 takeaways in practice. Yes, again, it's practice, but can't blame the quarterbacks all right. Defensive players get paid too.
Yeah.
And it's an encouraging sign.
No, I think the defense is starting to take the ball away a little bit. This was, for the most part, at least you've watched these practices too, Madeline. I feel like this was probably one of the more lopsided practices. I feel like in a lot of the other practices, it's been the offense has gotten theirs in this period, the defense has gotten theirs in that period. Offense made a couple plays. We'll get into those. Mm-hmm. But I thought the defense was pretty dominant front and back, and they did a really, really nice job.
But don't we usually see this time of year, I mean, the defense usually comes on so much faster than the offense.
Yeah, usually I feel like it's earlier in camp when you get one of these days, like a couple of days in, but this was practice 8 already, Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, is usually we see this very early on, but it was kind of even early on. Now the defense is pulling ahead. What does that say to you?
Well, we'll see. I mean, last week we had 2 padded practices, or I guess that was the beginning of this week, right?
Yeah, what day is it? Who knows?
Right, and I thought it was kind of, okay, kind of went back and forth a little bit. Now we had a good defensive day.
Yeah.
Let's see tomorrow when they have their consecutive padded practice before their day off on Sunday. Maybe the offense can come back and have an impactful day tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or go to giants.com/podcast. And don't forget, if you are on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts.
Yes.
Like, comment, subscribe.
What's up right now? Okay, so you have Tiki Barber from a couple days ago. That was on Wednesday, our little celebration of him joining me on the pre and post game this year on FAN, which should be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. It was a great interview with Tiki. And then Warren Sharp went up there today. He puts his big stat book together every summer as football preview. He had a great chapter on the Giants, and he has in-depth stuff on Russell Wilson. It was about a half-an-hour interview, 40-minute interview. Pearson, 40. I think we probably spent 25 minutes of it on Russell Wilson.
Love it.
So there's a lot of good stuff in there on why he, frankly, is more optimistic about Russ this year than a lot of the other pundits are. Right. So it's definitely worth the time, folks, to go there. Check it out. A lot of in-depth, situational type of numbers that I think you guys will find interesting. So, again, check it out in all those spots that Madeline talked about.
Always a deep dive with this one. Make sure to check out the Giants Huddle podcast. We've got the phone lines already lighting up, and that's kind of what we're here for. So I'd love to go to our first caller.
Do you want to do the 2 offensive plays first that we didn't mention in practice?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had the Malik Neighbors, deep touchdown down the right sideline.
Wait, Neighbors got a touchdown in practice? That's new.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of that
Haven't
this
seen
summer,
much of that at all.
Yeah, he newsflash, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good at football.
He runs past people, contested catches, he does it all, really. So he caught another touchdown pass down the right sideline. And then Tyrone Tracy had a big run. It was a pitch to the left. He kind of cut it back upfield. And I know with running plays in training camp, it's hard to tell whether or not he gets tackled or not, but he was untouched.
Yeah.
So I think it was pretty clear that he would have had a pretty long run on that play. So that was good to see.
You better call Tyrone. Call him.
And there was some video.
Monty Toomer for that one. That was his.
What is that from?
It's Erykah Badu. It's a song called Tyrone. And anytime
Is that a deep
Tyrone
cut?
Tracy would make a play last year, and we were watching, the games for post-game show, Amani would sing that song. So we'd kind of go back and forth with that. But it's a great song. You better call Tyrone.
And there was some video online, by the way, that, speaking of running backs, that Cam Scadaboo had to leave practice today with an injury. We don't have any word on what that was. Brian Dable does not speak after practice. We'll find that out tomorrow around 9:30, and we'll get that information for you then. Yeah,
we'll let you know as soon as we do. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's head to Kaylin in New Jersey, who's the first caller on our show today. Kaylin, what's going on?
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me.
We're good, Kaylin. What's going on?
Would you mind turning down your volume in the background? Because we're hearing an echo, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's better.
Can you hear me better?
Oh, that's fantastic, Kaylin. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to talk about the Giants front seven. You guys know them, and we have like a lot of guys who have great moves, like when they're in one-on-one situations. And since that's the case, they require a lot of double teams. In that double team, since one guy's getting double teamed, then there's for sure another guy who's going to get that one-on-one situation and then is allowed to use that pass rush move, whether it be a bull rush move or a speed move, a rip or spin or a swim. And what that does on the back end for us, and I'm really excited about this, is that it allows quick pressure on the quarterback. So then he has to look at his hot reads, and since he has to look at his hot reads, our defensive backs can undercut those hot reads and have just maybe one or two guys playing softer in the back. And I think that really gives us an advantage that I'm really excited about the Giants for this year that I haven't really felt in about 7 or 8 years. But I want to give it back to y'all. Thank you.
No, Kaylin, appreciate the call.
Thank you for the thought.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit it, right? The pass rush forces quarterbacks to rush. The cornerbacks can be a little more aggressive, knowing the quarterbacks aren't going to have time to hold the ball to get over the top, and they'll get to make some, if you don't get sacked, the defensive backs will have a chance to make plays on the ball. So you hit it. That's the plan. Now we'll see when they get into games that they can execute it.
I also like, too, that we've been noticing a bit of improvement in the offensive line's ability to pick up stunts and shifts in practice reps.
Yeah, there have not been free runners, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that, you hear from... There's a lot of hype about the Giants' defense, rightfully so, because you got the number 3 overall pick, Abdul Carter, coming in. A lot of big names, a lot of guys that we're excited about. But... you see the one-on-one battles and you see the way that these position groups are going at it. The offensive line and the offensive front is really holding their own here too.
Yeah, I was coming into the summer. I was thinking about this, and I wondered how dominant the defensive front would be in those one-on-one drills. And they've had their share of wins, but it has been a pretty solid showing by the offensive line, in my opinion. I think Jermaine Illuminor has had a fantastic camp so far.
Yeah.
He hasn't really gotten beaten in team all that much in one-on-ones when he's going against guys like Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. He's more than held his own. I think he's done a really nice job. At the end of one-on-ones today, after he had, frankly, I thought, won most of his reps, they had one last rep, and Brasillo yells out, all right, whichever side wins or loses this rep has to do push-ups. And it was Illuminor versus Burns again. And Burns finally got him. He kind of knocked his hand away and got upfield around the edge on the corner and turned it. So the offensive line all had to do push-ups. But I thought that was not necessarily reflective of Illuminor's overall performance, who I think continues to do very, very well in those one-on-one and in the team situations too, to be honest with you. He said this is the first time in his career he's been able to just play one position in practice over the summer. He's just the right tackle. And I think, at least I hope, that's going to help him. If there's one guy I'm not worried about, and I know his contract's up after this year, and I've said this a million times, if the Giants want to extend him, I think it's a great idea. I think he's a really good player. I'm not worried about him. He's going to be solid as a rock. He's going to be good out there at right tackle.
Yeah, that's going to be great for him. And then, speaking of positions, too, we got Evan Neal out there. He's been playing guard.
Yeah.
He's been getting more reps with the ones because Greg Van Roten has been out. His wife is expecting a baby any day now. Unclear if that, if she has delivered or not, but wishing that family healthy delivery there. But, watching that offensive line, and we talked to Evan Neal the other day after practice. He was there in media availabilities. He's got a bit of a confidence to him, and the way that he talks about approaching the difference of playing at guard versus tackle and saying, at tackle, there's a lot of patience required. You're kind of waiting for the action to come to you, whereas guard, ball snapped, you're in it. You're kind of fighting immediately, and it seems like that is something that he's really embracing.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the formula of when you're at guard, you're dealing with less space, right?
Yeah.
So it's working in a phone booth. You have bumpers on your left with the center if he's at right guard, and you're right with the right tackle, vice versa if you're playing left guard, right? And he just has to cover less space. And I think where we've seen Evan run into issues before is when he has to really kick back or out, depending on what type of set it is, operate in space, try to keep up with some of these really big speed rushers, and that's thrown him out of balance sometime, and he's had trouble dealing with some of those guys that really have the ability to challenge the edge as a pass rusher. But at guard, that becomes less of an issue because there's less space. So he's able to get his gigantic arms and hands on pass rushers quicker. They don't have as much room to get around him. And if he gets his hands on you inside in the right place, inside those shoulder pads, on the chest, on the numbers, and he gets that jersey, you're done. Yeah. You're not going anywhere. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too long. So if he can keep working at that and getting better, and I think we have seen improvement from him over the course of the summer, I think it bodes well for how he's going to play at guard this year.
Absolutely. Giants fans, you can run or walk with Giants legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 26th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. So net proceeds, they'll benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's head back to the phone lines. Phil in Pennsylvania is holding on the line. Phil, welcome to BBK with Schmeelk and Madelyn.
Hey, thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you for calling, Phil. What do you got?
Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to talk. One of the reasons that I'm so excited about the Giants this year is it just seems like they've done a great job of building depth. But one of the things that's going to cause is we're going to have to cut some awfully good football players. Just a few examples. I don't know how Tomon Fox makes the team, and I really like him as a pass rusher. I really like him as a defensive end. But it's going to be tough for him to make the team. Turbo Miller is another example. Eli Chapman or Nacho, at the defensive tackles, it's just going to be really hard. We have 5 legitimate NFL tight ends. I don't know if maybe we keep 4, but there's no way you can keep 5. I'm just really excited about the depth that we have, and my question for you guys to check into, to look up. I'm sure you don't have the information right now, but what are some of the players that we've cut in the past that have done some of the best in the NFL after we cut them? Just wondering about that. Can you think of any right off the top?
Well, first of all, Phil, that's a great problem to have, right? So much talent, so little space. Love that for us. And it also, too, is important to remember that, if you cut a player and they go have success elsewhere, it's not necessarily that they would have had that same success in this circumstance, in this team, in this system, in this, environment. Sometimes they are a really good player and go and show that elsewhere. And sometimes being in a new environment is helpful for that player to develop a part of their game that maybe they hadn't while they were here, or an approach or a style in which they hadn't. So it's not necessarily like those stats would have been our stats had they stayed type of a situation.
Yeah, and look, I got to be honest, Phil. I think one of the problems we've seen with the Giants, generally speaking, is that when they've cut guys at the 53-man roster cut, those guys have not been claimed very often. And I think it shows where the roster's had some issues over the last 10 years, right?
Right.
But to your point, I think that's going to change this year, where for the first time in a while, you're going to have guys, and guys have landed on other teams eventually. They've gotten on practice squads, got called up, and then they've had roles and they've done well. But in terms of those initial waiver claims, you haven't had many of those off the Giants' cuts. But I do think this year that's going to change, to your point. And, Mal and I were going to go through some of the position battles, and I think that's what we're talking about. One of these receivers, I think you let go. If you let go of both Pascal and little Jordan Humphrey, or even one of them at the 53-man cut, those guys are big, they're strong, they play special teams, they could be claimed. You mentioned the tight end position. That's really full. Let's see what Turbo Miller does when you get to the preseason games. That's when running backs really kind of make their money. I think the back end of this offensive line group is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, right? Kubas, Zudu, Stinney, Stone Forsythe, all those guys cannot make the roster. Like there's just not enough room at the end unless there's going to have some injuries here. So one of those guys could get cut. Yeah. You could have one of the quarterbacks. Right. You get Tommy DeVito. He could get claimed if he has a big preseason if he doesn't make the final 53. Who's the final defensive tackle off? Did they get claimed by somebody? So to your point, I do think it's going to be a little bit different this year. I'll have to go back and think about guys that have been cut that have had a lot of success elsewhere.
Put that question out to Paulie because he's going to have, Paulie Dottino. He's got the history.
I mean, we could phone a friend. Paul would rattle him off immediately.
How far back do you want me to go on this, Phil? Are we talking like last 10 years, last 20?
1984.
Right, exactly.
Well, like I said, that's one of the reasons I'm excited about the Giants this year is because I think they have that depth. I don't think they've had that depth since probably Coughlin was coach. Back when they had Super Bowl teams and playoff teams. I'm very excited about it, and I'm just. Like I mentioned a few players, you mentioned a few players. I'm excited for those players. I hope that they, move on somewhere. I'm not upset, that we have them. I'm upset that we have to cut them because I think they're going to be some good players.
Yeah. I mean, like John was talking about is, you almost want the players that you cut on cut down day to be claimed elsewhere because that's showing that you've got so much talent that even the players that weren't making the roster are worth being on other teams' 53s. Good problem to have, Phil, but thank you for the call.
Yeah, and look, I think that'll be a fun exercise when we get to it at the end of August, trying to figure out who's going to be on that 53. And look, I think there's a lot of interesting competitions. You talk about some of the ones at the top of the roster, also a lot at the bottom of the roster. I think it's going to be a real back and forth between a lot of these guys, and Joe Shane and Brian Dable and their staffs are going to have a really difficult time deciding who's deserving to be on the 53 and who they think they can squeeze onto the practice squad and just kind of figuring out all those machinations to get the best guys here in the building.
Yeah, absolutely. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Phone lines are open if you want to get in there.
Any YouTube comments there, Pearson? Pull them. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Do you want me to go through some of the position battles real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, so why don't we start, I think, we'll start with one of the ones Phil mentioned, and I'm curious of your take on this. The tight end room is very talented.
Very.
So I think we all know that Theo Johnson's on the roster, okay?
Yeah.
Let's move past that. Daniel Bellinger heading into the final year of his rookie deal. Very solid all-around tight end. He can play fullback a little bit, can do a lot of different things. So I think quality player, we'll see where that goes. He's been with the twos for most of camp.
Right.
Chris Manhurst, really good blocking tight end.
Very good blocking tight end. And we heard, Bellinger, I believe, yesterday talking about how, that's the culture of the tight end in New Jersey area. It's just that physicality and that blocking mentality. And, you think about the vintage guys who played here, the Bavaros in the past. You want to bring that toughness, but also show the ability to make a play in the passing game. And I think Manhurst, I think of that tough physical guy more so.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear that they value his ability to block.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone that can replace that role currently on the roster.
Exactly.
In terms of to the level he can do it. So
that's his differentiating factor, I believe.
100%. Yeah. So those are those are three.
Well, and then you've got Greg Dulcich, who's got the relationship with Russell Wilson.
And he's a big athlete. He's big, he's tall, he's long. He's made a bunch of plays, especially early in camp. He's been quieter recently. And then you have Thomas Fidone, the draft pick, right?
Yeah, Thomas Fidone, 7th-round draft pick, who usually when you get to the 7th round, you're taking a flyer, saying, all right, let's give this guy a shot. Let's see what he can do. Day one of training camp, he had a ridiculous one-handed catch, made some athletic plays. But again, what is his differentiating factor in that room that sets him apart? I'm curious, though, when it comes to Dulcich, how much do you believe that front office is? Obviously, when it comes to training camp, you want to bring in a new quarterback in Russell Wilson. You want to bring in players that he's got that familiarity with, that comfort, that chemistry. How much does that factor into roster building?
It's a good question. I think they're going to keep the best players, regardless of those relationships.
Because also the locker room is going to know this is the best player versus this player is here because he's friends with that guy.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Greg Dulcich has not been with the ones in camp.
Right.
So it's not like him and Russ have been able to show off this great connection. They haven't been on the field together, really, just based on how the depth chart has worked out, at least so far. So they just drafted Thomas Fidone. He's stature and athletically and physically, he's actually not all that dissimilar from Dulcich. See them standing next to each other. Their frames and everything are similar. For most rookie tight ends, Fidoni's going to have to get stronger, become a better blocker, things like that. That's important to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that'll be interesting. I don't think Fidoni would get onto the practice squad. I'd be very surprised by that. I think he would get claimed by somebody.
Right.
Dulcich, I believe the Giants got him off of waivers last year after the Broncos cut him during the season, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Giants put him on waivers, does somebody else claim him? Can either guy get snuck onto the practice squad? Who knows? But with all the talent there, I think you're keeping 4, and we'll see what that competition looks like for the 4th spot. Based on how they're really rotating everybody in all the spots, I think it's wide open, and we'll see which guy plays the best in the final, 4 weeks of camp?
Right, exactly. Because like Phil mentioned, too, 5 tight ends is a lot. They're not doing that. 4
Nope.
even would be a lot to carry on a 53-man roster. But if the talent is there and the production is there, you never know. You never know. We're getting some YouTube comments as well, but speaking of position battles, let's talk about the DBs, especially cornerback. Taylor Collier asks, are Banks and Flott fighting for CB2 because they're both playing great, or no one is separating themselves, might need to find some cap to grab a veteran free agent? I feel like Banks has been with the ones a bit more of late.
I don't track every snap. I know some people do. Both guys
this
have
is
been
a
out
Paul
there.
Dottino charting every snap.
I don't even know. I don't know if he even charts defensive personnel on every snap, to be honest with you.
I would be surprised if he didn't.
Both guys have been out there.
Yes.
I think it is a legitimate camp battle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you give them truth serum, do I think they would prefer that Deonte Banks wins that job? Probably. He was a first-round pick. He's just really, really talented.
Right.
But, for me, I think Banks has had a pretty good camp.
Yeah.
He's been physical. He's been sticky. He hasn't allowed a bunch of completions. He hasn't allowed a lot of big plays. So I think he's done a really, really, really nice job. And if he keeps playing this way, I'd be very surprised if he was not the starter.
Yeah. Well, and I think also, too, there's, been some coaching changes that have acknowledged that he's, reflecting and reacting well to. But he does have a different energy around him. And he did kind of acknowledge that, last year, hey, I wasn't playing my best last season. I got to clean things up a little bit. And I think Tay Banks, he has a lot of talent. And one of the frustrations from last season is just finishing plays and being consistent in that regard. Can he separate himself and do that on a consistent basis where this team can trust him at that position?
All right. Do you want to can I read the big news here? It's not Giants related, but I can read it for you.
I mean, it's NFC East related, and this is one of those things that I feel like, first of all, I'm just looking at this Notes app post, and it looks like it's going to be on a pillow or on a mug somewhere.
Yes, it is long, so you guys are going to have to bear with me.
Oh, it's a multi-page?
Yes, there are 3 pages.
Ooh, all right. Smoke them if you got them. Let me take some time.
Here we go. You ready? Yeah. All right. This is from Micah Parsons on Twitter.
Also, wait, background in case people are new to this scenario. Micah Parsons and the Cowboys have had some tension recently.
Yes. Trying to come to a contract agreement. He is on the last year of his contract. He's on his 5th-year option, if I'm not mistaken, in the final year of his rookie deal with the option. So this is what Micah Parsons has tweeted. Yes, I wanted to be here. I did everything I could to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy and wear the star on my helmet. I wanted to play in front of the best fans in sports and make this America's team once again. The team my pops and I grew up cheering for way up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. I had purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done, but since there is confusion out there, let me clear up some things. I had my agent reach out to the Cowboys last offseason after my 3rd year in hopes of getting a deal done early. Unfortunately, the team did not want to start negotiations at that point. I was okay with that, didn't complain, and focused on the 2024 season. After the season, I told my agent once again to let the team know we were open to negotiations when they met at the Combine. My agent informed me I should wait for other deals to get done because the price would only go up, but I didn't care and wanted to secure myself as a Cowboy long term. This was before any of the other pass rusher deals and the 2024 season. After the season, I told my agent once again to let the team know we were open to negotiate when they. Oh wait, this is see this he copied. He didn't copy it properly, so the text repeats on both things. Yes. Anyway,
you gotta learn how to screenshot, Micah.
That is correct.
It's all right.
Okay.
We can work on these skills.
Let me pick that up. This was before any of the other pass rushers deals got done this offseason. I knew I would be leaving money on the table, but again, I was okay with that. Again, radio silence as far as my extension. In March, I met with Mr. Jones to talk about leadership. Somehow the conversation turned into talking contract with me. Yes, I engaged in a back and forth in regards to what I wanted for my contract, but at no point did I believe this was supposed to be a formal negotiation, and I informed Mr. Jones afterward my agent would reach out thinking this would get things done. But when my agent reached out and spoke to Adam, I don't know who Adam is, but I'm sure he's one of the Cowboys contract guys, he was told the deal was pretty much already done. My agent, of course, told him that was not the case and also reached out to Stephen Jones. Again, the team decided to go silent. At that point, we decided we would allow the team to reach out to us whenever they decided they wanted to talk. Yet, still not a call, email, or text to my agent about starting a negotiation. Up to today, the team has not had and now I got to find out where it picks up again. Into talking contract with me. Yes, I engaged in a back and forth in regards to what I wanted from my contract, but at no point did I believe this was supposed to be a formal negotiation. Okay, we got that already. Again, the team decided to be silent. They allowed the team to reach out, yet still not a call or email or text to my agent about starting a negotiation. Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. Still, I stayed quiet, but again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to be a Cowboy. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally.
Wow. All right, so Terry McLaurin made his trade request to the Commanders. Micah Parsons made his trade request to the Cowboys. Something in the water in the NFC East right now.
Now, I will stress, just because a bit of trade request doesn't mean the player is going to be traded.
Exactly.
At this time last year, T. Higgins had a trade request, and how did that go?
Right. I can make a request to have a raise. Doesn't mean I'm going to get one. It is a request for a reason. However, the multi-page notes app right here, I mean, this is up there with the all caps Kyler Murray from a few years ago.
What did he do?
Remember, it was like his agent tweeted out in all caps, and then they kind of figured it out.
Another situation, right, where the player is like, I want out of here, and then they get a long-term contract done.
I feel like it's difficult, especially he said, I no longer want to be a Cowboy, to come to a deal after that.
That part, because it's like he starts
I've heard that before.
He starts it with, like, I no longer want to be a Cowboy. I've, valued this team for a long time and whatnot. The fact that this is going on, though, not necessarily about whether or not he is on the roster, but you've got to think that when you're out there at training camp practices, this is happening in your locker room.
We got live NFL Network of Micah Parsons talking one-on-one with Jerry Jones. I'm guessing that's at practice right now, am I assuming? Or maybe not? I don't know.
Or maybe that's stock video.
That could be stock video. It said live in the corner. I don't know if that means the B-roll is live or the program is live.
Oh, yeah, yes. That's true. But yeah, this was a couple of years ago. All caps, Kyler Murray's agent kind of put out a similar thing, and then the Cardinals figured it out. So I say this, I reference this to say, hey, we've seen things get messy that have been, you know what, let's hug it out, let's figure it out, and let's go on and move forward. And we've seen things get messy that get messier, and the dumpster's on fire, and then there's a messy breakup. Unclear which direction this is going to go, but
I would put it this way. That seems to be the problem. And look, we've heard this about the Cowboys before, where they like to try to negotiate contracts directly with players and not deal with agents. This is not the first time we've heard this.
Right.
And that's how they want to operate, because they think they can get a bigger deal, a better deal when they deal directly with the player. They tried the same thing with Dak Prescott. It didn't work.
It's one thing, though, and it's one thing to say, okay, let's have a conversation directly with the player, but to refuse to speak to the agent is just
100%.
bad business.
Oh,
it's
no,
just bad business.
1,000%.
Right.
So I guess my question now, if the Dallas Cowboys pick up the phone and call Micah Parsons' agent, don't you think they'll negotiate?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the job is to get the deal done.
Correct.
And it's not to be, be a little petty, but it's not to be overly petty. And not to be.
My guess, and this is just my guess, that Micah Parsons has told them many times, talk to my agent, they're not going to. And this is his final way of saying, no, really, you need to call my agent.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't sit there and type out a multi-page notes app thing on a whim. There's some thought that's gone into this. This is not step one of the I'm upset at this process. This is I'm at the breaking point of this process.
And if you remember, and I will double check this, I believe this is correct, but David Mugoletta, who is a very well-known and successful agent, he was also CeeDee Lamb agent, if I'm not mistaken. I'm double-checking that right now. He is not CeeDee Lamb primary agent. He's represented by a team of agents. So, but he is someone that has dealt with the Cowboys on this stuff before. And I believe in a press conference earlier this year, they asked Jerry Jones directly about David Mugoletta, and I believe he said, I don't know who that is.
Which is wild because he is one of the most respected and
Correct.
accomplished agents. I mean, Athletes First just put out a thing. He got voted, I forget what it is, one of the most productive agents or something like that. I don't know. He won some sort of something.
Yes.
Recently. This is, me doing my best at recounting.
Yeah, but he is
most powerful.
Yes.
Forbes just named
there you go.
His agent. Forbes calls him 2025's most powerful NFL agent. The most powerful NFL agent is the one that you're refusing to talk to right now? Question mark.
So,
that's according to Forbes.
I'm sure now this is going to be the bottom line on ESPN NFL Network for like the next 3 weeks now. And look, the Cowboys have a history of this with their best players. They wait until what was Dak Prescott signed to his extension the morning of the first game of the regular season?
Yeah, they work great on deadline.
Ezekiel Elliott, same deal. He was, 2 weeks into camp after he held out. CeeDee Lamb was last week of August last year, something like that. So they've done this before. I would still be, for both, by the way, the Commanders and McLaurin and the Cowboys and Micah Parsons, I would be surprised if either of those guys are traded before the season starts.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It's like me in college submitting my essay like a minute before the deadline.
Yeah. And typing it 3 minutes prior.
So, again, that's my guess. But you know what?
It's like Schmeelk filing his practice report as he's walking over to the desk to host BBK.
Yes, except I legitimately only have like an hour to get that done.
That's
once
true.
we're done with media events.
That's true.
I have a very small window there. I did
but
not
you
put
fit
it
it
off.
right into
Yes,
the window like
I
Russell Wilson thrown into pass, right? Like
I have to. Now, I think the interesting part of this is, let's say the Cowboys decide, look, we have a lot of money from other people, right? Mm-hmm. And we're already paying Dak, we're paying CeeDee Lamb. Can we afford to pay a third player $40+ million? Maybe that's part of what and that's what the top of the edge rusher market is. That's what Myles Garrett got. That's what TJ Watt got. Do they think they're unable to manage their cap and their roster building with two guys making that much money? Maybe they'll come to the conclusion that, look, we have to trade this player, and we'll see what happens. The amount of offers they're going to get are going to be off the chart. This is theoretically the best young pass rusher in football who still has a year left on his contract. Yes, you have to extend him. But this is no different than the package. He's going to get more than, say, I compare this to what the Chiefs' situation was with Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
Where they weren't going to sign him. He had a year left on his deal, except Parsons is probably, 3 years younger than Tyreek Hill, and pass rusher is a more valuable position than receiver. So
this is the Bengals. The Bengals just had the deal with Jamar Chase last year, and they're paying the offensive side of the ball, and then now it's like, all right, defense needs to get paid too. On some level, you got to shore up your defensive playmakers. Otherwise,
I'd look at the Khalil Mack trade.
Yeah.
From back in the day. That was, you're looking at a couple first-round picks if you're trading Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, first-round picks in the future aren't going to help your pass rush this season.
100%. And what team are you trading him to? Where are those first-round picks going to be?
Correct.
Like, I would not be interested in trading into some team where you're going to get, pick 27 and 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Lots.
It'll be interesting, and that's going to be the drama now over the next 2 weeks until they decide to call David Mugoletta and try to work out a deal.
It is kind of nice though, like when the drama in the division is elsewhere.
Yes, it is quite nice actually. I agree with you.
Respectfully, and knock on wood. Giants camp is going well so far, and and I hope that they all work it out.
And look, when's the last time the Cowboys let a young star player leave the building?
Exactly.
When they want
No, they will get it done. They will get it done. And I understand it too. As a young player, as a talented player, you know your worth and you want to be compensated rightfully so. And you want to have that job security when you know the value that you bring to the team and to the league. So they will figure it out at some point. How that looks or what that ends up looking like remains to be seen. But I would be flabbergasted if they let Micah Parsons walk out that building.
Yeah, so would I.
So 201-939-4513 is the phone number. First, want to remind you guys, the Giants official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. Again, it's 201-939-4513. Let's head to the phone lines. Friend of the show, Charlie in Maine, on Big Blue Kickoff Live on a Friday with Schmeelk and Madelyn. Charlie, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, Madeline. It's great to hear your voice. And John, it's my two favorite people hosting the show today.
You sound very
thank you.
You sound very chipper today, Charlie. You sound very chipper.
Charlie's always a happy guy when he
No,
first calls.
he is not. No, he is not always a happy caller. That is absolutely not true. I appreciate your optimism, but that is false.
Give it a second.
Yeah, he'll settle in a moment. How you doing, Charlie?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, look, how about Micah for Carter? Would you guys do that?
No, because you have to pay Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
And obviously, Micah Parsons is a better player than Carter.
Right now, today,
Yeah,
maybe.
of course.
But,
You know, would you let me put it this way? Would you rather have Abdul Carter on a rookie contract or Micah Parsons making $43 million a year?
I would rather have Parsons than. Yeah, I would do it because he's proven. I would do that. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
sure.
And then then you'd watch Abdul Carter prove himself in Dallas as a younger guy on a rookie contract.
Well, and more importantly, Charlie, then what players are not going to be here because you're paying Micah Parsons?
That part, yeah.
Well, probably most of our offensive line.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway.
And there's Charlie.
Hey, look. The other thing you guys were talking about was about depth.
Yeah.
And I see there's not a lot of depth in cornerback. There's not a lot of depth at linebacker. There's not a lot of depth at tackle position offensively. There's a lot of areas where we don't have a lot of depth.
No, look, Charlie, obviously every single position is not going to be deep as the others. I think corner, you feel pretty good about being 4 deep. Who the 5th guy is, I think right now is an open competition. But I think you feel pretty good about your top 4.
For what?
At corner.
Cornerback?
Yeah.
Top 4, I'd see 3.
Well, you got Flott, Banks,
Yeah.
Adebo, and Drew Phillips.
Oh, yeah, 4.
That's 4.
Yeah, okay, 4.
Yeah.
But after that,
Charlie admitted he's
Hawkins is a question mark. Green's a question mark.
He is happy.
Linebacker, middle linebackers, like Okereke and McFadden. Who do you got after that? Not much. And tackle-wise, we don't have anybody. You got a Zulu.
Well, real quick, Charlie, one position at a time. I would say a middle linebacker. Muasau played pretty well in the chances he got last year. I think they feel decent about him. Deontay Johnson was coming on strong until he got hurt. Do they have a proven player behind those two that have done it, for a long period of time? No, they do not. But I do think they have some pieces they do think have some promise there. And then offensive tackle, look, James Hudson has actually been pretty good in these one-on-ones at camp. Like, he has held his own against some pretty good pass rushers. I think they feel good about him at swing tackle. And then after that, you're either looking at Forsythe or Zudu as your 4th guy coming off the bench. So I will say this. I was listening to the Athletic Football Show the other day, which is, if you guys want to listen to a national football show, I think it's the best one out there. And Robert Mays is on his training camp tour, and he was basically saying, talking to coaches around the league, he asked every single coach, what's the one thing that keeps you up at night? And every single one of them says injuries on the offensive line. Because, Charlie, there just is not offensive line depth, especially offensive tackle depth, anywhere in the National Football League. It is an epidemic. It's a problem around the league. There just are not a lot of guys that can play that position at a really high level.
Yeah, and the thing with Hudson, I haven't seen that at all. I've seen him getting beat a lot. I've seen him illegal motion penalties a lot. I've seen him get angry and push people and hands to the face. And this guy is a walking penalty. That's what he is.
Well, Charlie, I will say this. Look, James Hudson has not been like winning every rep and been dominant, but I wouldn't expect my swing tackle going up against, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau to win every rep. I think it's been back and forth. I think he's won some. I think he's lost some. And I can tell you, having watched a bunch of Giants backup offensive tackles over the years, he is doing and performing much better than many of the Giants' prior backup offensive tackles when they get put in these situations.
That's a low bar, John, and you know it. Okay, guys, look, have a great weekend, Madeline. Keep doing the podcast. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Happy to be back. Charlie. Thanks for the call, Charlie.
Appreciate the call, man.
Always a pleasure.
He was in a good mood today.
I'm telling you, I always get happy Charlie, I think. I think he's just fine, He's like, all right, I'm going to call in a good mood for this one, but he's always got his moments.
So we need to get her on. We need to get Madeline on with Dottino and Charlie, because Dottino gets very upset with Charlie.
I'm the peacekeeper between those two.
And now Sitak is also, him and Charlie had a thing the last time he called up too. So
that doesn't surprise me.
I think, me and Charlie have gone back and forth, but it's always in good fun. So I think you're the last one standing.
There you go.
Have you ever gone to a shouting match with Charlie?
No.
I think he is. I think last one, Miss Howard certainly has. Casillas certainly has, right? Yeah, Lance, forget it. He's the first one on the list. Yeah, I think you're the last one standing. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is a streak that I am really proud of.
No, you should be.
I think I deserve a medal.
I think this should go on the resume.
It will. It totally will. Always a treat talking to Charlie from Maine. Giants fans, with another impactful draft and free agency class in the books, that means it's full steam ahead to the 2025 season. Take your fandom to the next level with a Giants season ticket membership and catch all the action at MetLife Stadium with an exciting home schedule on the horizon. With the membership, you'll also stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days, with exclusive member access and benefits. So to learn more about a New York Giants season ticket membership, visit giants.com/tickets. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. We got a couple more calls to get to before we wrap up this show. Let's start with Joe in Utah. First of all, I think about Utah and I think about Jameis Winston saying, every time I get down the field, they make me give the ball to a quarterback from Utah because of Jackson Dart, and then, of course, back in New Orleans as well. But, Joe, how are you doing out in Utah?
Oh, I'm doing good. How about y'all?
We're good, Joe. What do you got?
Doing great.
Russell Wilson will win the MVP. Or he'll be an MVP candidate.
Okay. All right, Pearson, we're putting the first bold prediction up on the board of the season. It might be the second one. I'm not sure. But that is why. Joe, why do you say that?
I'm telling you. This man is a veteran. When you talk about the moon ball, you talk about the short ball, you talk about the mid-range game. He got it all. Week 1, he'll beat the Commanders. He did it last year with the Steelers. He's going to beat the Cowboys. The Chiefs up in the air will beat the Chargers. We'll beat the Saints. We're going to start the season 4-1. Write that down.
Joe, what do you have for the season record overall? Write down all these predictions, Pearson. These are all going in the document.
10-7.
10-7.
Oh, wow. So if starting 5-1, I think that's a disappointing second half of the year. No, the schedule actually gets a little easier in December.
Can't be too soon.
Yeah, but we're a 3-1 team. Let's be realistic.
Okay.
Very, very. Hey, listen, Joe's out here calling for MVP for Russ. Russell Wilson is sitting in the same locker at MetLife that he sat in when the Seahawks played and won the Super Bowl there. So if you're superstitious, so we're looking for a little nugget there, maybe.
Did the Seahawks they used our facility, right? The Seahawks for that Super Bowl? Did they go to meetings here? I think they did, right? If I remember correctly. I know it was before Pearson's time. He wasn't here yet.
Yeah,
I believe they did. So I never got clarity on that. If it was the locker there, or was it the locker they gave him here when they were changing and doing their work here during the week?
That's a good question because I assumed it was the one there.
So did I, but then I started thinking about it. And I'm like, wait a second. Did they use this locker room when they used this practice facility the week leading up to the game?
Need to follow up. Need to circle back.
He's always in the darn quarterback room. I never actually see him in the hallway to ask him, but I will try to ask him when I get the chance.
We're on the case.
Joe, you got anything else for us?
Hey, Malik Neighbors will have 1,700 yards.
Woo! Joe Stradamus over here with the predictions. I respect it. 1,700 yards. That is so many yards. And I guess he had over 1,000 and he missed a couple games last year.
If he's getting to 17, he could be offense. You can get the MVP Offensive Player of the Year sweep there, Joe.
Right?
I'm telling you. Listen, Russ, his last 3-4 head coaches weren't rocking with him like Dable. Dave's likes him. I feel like we're going to see a historic season, and we're going to go to the playoffs, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the call.
I love it. Thanks for the call. Well, I love the bold predictions. I love the big swings. And I also think that, hey, at this time of year, anything is possible. So not no. 1,700 yards from Malik Neighbors, he says.
Yeah.
Russ, first he said he's winning the MVP, then he downgraded to MVP candidate, which I think is a fair.
Oh, no, he said winning the MVP.
But yeah, we know what you really think, Joe. So let's go. This is about to be the season for
It's
the
funny.
Giants.
That would have been the perfect call if it was a normal super negative Charlie call. It would have been, the perfect bounce back off of the Charlie, in the doldrums mood.
Yeah.
But Joe brought it anyway. It's good.
Joe brought the good vibes, even though Charlie was in a good mood.
Yes.
We got another bold prediction on YouTube.
Oh,
Ooh.
what do we
Taylor
got?
Collier says Giants playoffs with Russ, Abdul, defensive rookie of the year. Giants start 3-1, losing to the Chargers.
Okay.
Wait, so that means they're starting the year 3-0. If they're losing to the Chargers, that means they're winning their first 3 games.
I could see the home opener, even though it's Sunday Night Football and it's the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are a big, bad, scary wolf. Like, Chiefs don't start strong often. They finish strong.
That's
But
true.
the beginning of the season, Kansas City, kind of we've seen many times over the past several years, even their Super Bowl win years, early season, they're kind of a little getting their sea legs. So you catch them in week 3.
They usually still figure out a way to win those games, but you're
Sure.
right. And I think we did see how healthy they are, right? We've seen there's so many of their offensive playmakers be hurt early in these years.
Mm-hmm.
Is Xavier Worthy there? Is Hollywood Brown on the field? Is Rashee Rice? Does he get suspended? Is he playing in those games?
Right.
Josh Simmons has looked great at left tackle for them in training camp. Is he going to be healthy for week 1? Because he
How
had the
healthy is-
ACL at Ohio State. So
How healthy is Travis Kelce, who, was flirting with how long do I want to keep playing in this league and all that kind of stuff. So remains to be seen. But I like these. I like the confidence we've got going into this season. 201-939-4513.
if you can't be optimistic on August 1st, Madeline, when can you be optimistic?
Right? Everything
This
is
is-
joy. We're reach for the stars. Jerry in Georgia is on the line. Jerry, welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. You're on with Schmeelk and Madelyn.
Jerry, you want to talk about Dominique Wilkins? Is that what I'm seeing here on your sheet?
So. Human highlight reel. Let's go.
I think we all agree that our defense has always carried us to championships.
Yes.
And if we got a Pro Bowl level guy who's out there, let's go get him.
Now, Jerry, you realize why the Raiders let him go, right?
Yeah, no. But the thing is let's face it, these football players aren't all altar boys, okay?
Oh, no, Jerry. It's not that he's an altar boy. He can't play right now because he's hurt.
Well, his foot, right?
Yes, you need a foot to play defensive tackle.
That
2
is-
feet, actually, technically. Yeah, you need 2.
Hard to do without that. Yeah, a little challenging.
Well, from what I read, I thought he was healthy, but they didn't like the way that he was rehabbing or something.
No, they want him to have foot surgery because he's in a walking boot and he refuses to do it. That seems to be the big issue, from what I can tell.
There is a conflict of opinion between the team who thinks this foot is too hurt to play through, you need to have surgery, and the player who thinks, nah, I'm good, I can play, let's rub some dirt on it.
Or at least rehab it back to health, right?
But whatever the case may be. And so the difference in opinion mixed with, rumors of potential other things.
I'm not touching that.
Create a dynamic where they're like, you know what, let's just move on. Yeah.
Are there any other defensive linemen out there who we could possibly get?
I think you got a pretty stacked defensive tackle room, Jerry. I mean, at this
from
point,
what I've seen, that Alexander's not all that. From what I've heard, like Bobby Skinner and these guys that we're watching, they're not all that enamored with him at this point. Now, maybe down the line, but we got to turn this thing around now.
Maybe have they not watched one-on-one drills? Because he's been pretty powerful and good in one-on-one drills, if you ask me, to be totally honest with you. I think he's been very good in one-on-one drills.
Okay, well, I believe me, I hope so. I'm just concerned, like, John Maris says, he's tired of watching teams run up and down the field on us.
Sure.
And we got to stop that.
Hey, well,
and
I will say this, by the way, Jerry, you do not count on a rookie to turn anything around when you draft one. It takes
right.
the rookie.
We got to get somebody.
Well, I mean, look, they signed Roy Robertson Harris in the offseason. I think they feel good about what he's going to bring. Vernon Golson's another bigger. He's not a defensive tackle per se.
Golson's going to be a beast.
But
I really like him.
but he's a defensive end that you could put in there as a Chauncey.
He plays in the middle sometimes
Chauncey
on pass plays, right?
Vernon Golson's a former Jet. You put him in there at defensive end and running situation. So I think they feel better about what's going on down there. The first day in pads, the Giants broke some long runs. I think since then the run defense has been pretty good. Yeah. Tyrone Tracy had one long one today. Otherwise, they really didn't burst many out of the line. So I know there's a lot of freak-out sessions, Jerry, but people have seen 3 padded practices, and I think people need to, frankly, relax.
Well, and also they've seen 3 padded practices, and none of which are they tackling to the ground.
Correct, too.
So it's like we don't actually know where these plays are finishing. And, you see guys who know that they can't really make contact, so they're not even not tackling. They're not even running through the play. They're like, all right, I would have got there. I'm going to lay up here.
Yeah. Well, who's going to say I didn't get there, right?
Exactly.
Exactly right.
Hey, another thing, switching gears to the offense. Now, let's suppose Russ has a great year, which we all hope. What do you suppose might happen next year? I mean, let's face it, they went dark, but if Russ does great, how do you move away from him?
I think that's a bridge you cross when you get there. I think you look at the way that Minnesota had with Sam Darnold, right? And you look at the way that Sam Darnold was playing so well while J.J. McCarthy is injured with the ACL, and Vikings fans are starting to wonder, oh my gosh, we love how well he's playing, but also what are we going to do next year? And it worked itself out. By the way, yes, they got to the playoffs. They didn't actually, Darnold was playing quite well and then kind of fell off a little bit, and they said, okay, you know what, we're going to trust our instincts and stick with J.J., who is our future. So we don't really know, and we could see a myriad of scenarios, but none of those are really worth pontificating over until we figure out what we get to at the end of the season.
Thank you, Jerry. We appreciate the question. That's the thing. It all depends. Sorry, Jerry, we're running the end of this show. I want to hit a couple comments here.
Yeah.
How does Russ play?
Yeah.
What does Dart look like behind the scenes from what we can't see?
Yeah. Does Dable trust that the young guy will be ready?
How good is the offense? Like if the Giants score like 26 points per game this year, would you want to make a change?
Right.
Is Russ healthy at the end of the year? Like there's a million different, to your point, things that you cannot predict what things going to look like in 4 months or 5 months compared to now.
Right. And we could see an incredible run, an incredible season from Russ that maybe just, is the one. We could see, if they score 40 points a game and win a Super Bowl, I mean, that's a great problem to have then,
To me, the plan was this to be a 1-year thing, and then Dart moves in. But again, Russ wants to come here to prove that he can still be a long-term starter and a good one in the National Football League. That is his intention, and he would like that to be here. So let's see how it all plays out. I don't think it does anyone any good or is helpful at all speculating. Well, if this and if that, if this and if that, then what happens in 5 months? Like,
I think
what's the point?
If we're worrying about what to do if the Giants have too much success with Russell Wilson, that's a great place to be.
Yes, can we please be having that argument in 5 months, please? I'm with you, 100%.
Let's stop creating problems where they don't exist.
Yeah. All right, let's get through some of these comments real quick, Madelyn. How's Corey Black doing? He's had a couple pass breakups. This one from Pete Cho on Twitter. He's shown some size, but again, 7th-round pick. He's going to be a developmental player on the back end of the depth chart.
Yeah, absolutely. Virtually Speaking podcast wants to know, is Evan Neal a contender for first team? We've seen him getting some first team reps, obviously, with Greg Van Roten out for personal reasons the last couple of days. He's looking good at guard, but I think there's a lot to see.
The games will be huge for him.
The games are going to be huge from the preseason action, and so we'll see what he brings to that position there.
I'm with you.
Rob is saying, I have the nicknames for the running back room: Turbo Miller, Motor Singletary, Nitro Tracy, Diesel Scatterboot. Lock it in. Not no. I'm pretty into the Diesel Scatterboot.
Well, you know what though? I think you need a nickname for the group. I do like the idea of the group.
They're all kind of
being
fuel.
Correlated.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the spring, and I threw one out there, and you were like, "That's a good one," and now I can't remember what it was.
The garage.
No, it was like, I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll tweet it at you later. We'll figure it out.
I'm sure there's some NASCAR term that I'm not familiar with because I don't watch NASCAR. Like that could work for like a group of fast cars. Like, is there like a name for that in a NASCAR race? Anybody know anything? No, nobody's got
Tracy
nothing.
Chapman, you got a fast car.
I don't think Tyrone Tracy would like that nickname.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. He's like, wait a minute.
Yes, hold on, please no. Taylor Collier, can you see Abdul subbing out McFadden on third downs to get Tibbs, Burns, Dex, Abdul, Golson on the field at the same time? yes, that would not surprise me. Or maybe even if you take Okereke off the field and you bring one of the safeties down, then McFadden's on with those guys when you have those 6 pass rushers together.
Yeah.
That could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. David Kiley saying, I think Manhertz's pass catching ability is underestimated by people. He has skills, caught a touchdown in the Colts game, looked good doing it. That is true. And I think we were emphasizing he has such strength in the pass blocking that is his strength. Not that he's unable to be a factor in the passing game, just that when you look at him and you think, what's your 1A headline about what you are bringing to this team, I think his blocking ability stands out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just looking up here with Bob Papa's oak tag size.
It's like when you buy a book with large font and you're like, this book is 700 pages. No, it's just large font.
Man, that can't be right. They have him listed at only 235 pounds. That cannot be right, Pearson. Hold on. There's no way Chris Manhurst is 235 pounds.
He's dense.
There is no way.
Maybe.
Hold on. No, there's absolutely no way. What is he? What? Let me see what ESPN has him at. 235. That cannot be right. I'm gonna have to ask somebody about that.
But
that
it's
number
all muscle
cannot be
mass.
right.
It's all muscle mass.
Either way.
Yeah.
Yes, he has hands. He can catch the football, but he's not this downfield, jittery, bursty, fast speed route runner type.
Right.
So, no.
Yeah, he has the ability. He looks good doing it. It's not somebody that you would look at and say, "Oh, I can't count on him to make a play."
Yeah, he can catch checkdowns, little out routes, things like that.
Right, to your point. But I think he is somebody that you're not looking at as, building a pass play around him. So, He's not option 1 for that.
Correct. I need to investigate this 235-pound thing. I do not. Pearson, do you think that's correct?
Schmeelk's going to come in with a scale tomorrow. Like, listen, can you just step on this?
Well, let me
one?
put it this way. Fedoni, just to give you an idea, Thomas Fedoni is listed at 255 pounds. There is no way in hell he is 20 pounds heavier than Chris Manhurst.
Yeah, unless
There's
he's
zero chance of that.
Fedoni is so much leaner. I mean, he's taller.
I need to ask questions about
So he's taller.
I'm unhappy.
Also, speaking of weight, since we're talking about that, Jalen Hyatt.
Are you about to insult me?
No. Jalen Hyatt, in his media availability today, talked about this. It's a big, it's an important storyline. Not important. It's an interesting storyline, I would say.
Yes.
Last year, he was saying he was playing at 171, but he wanted to bulk up and put a lot of emphasis on doing that. Now he's at 189, 190. He's put on almost 20 pounds, and he's been working in this offseason to kind of get comfortable running and playing at that weight. But he said it's going to be helpful for him so that he's not just only in the slot as that kind of deep threat guy, but he's got more versatility on where he can be used on the field.
And if you guys want more on that, we interviewed Jalen Hyatt and the whole wide receiver group on the Giants Huddle podcast back in June. So go to the archive and check that out. Madeline, this was fun today.
This was a blast. I am thrilled to be back here hanging out in the BBK studio with John Schmeelk and Pearson Butler.
Oh, by the way, this is new and it's not in the copy. So we are now in the Hackensack Meridian Health podcast studio. Keep getting better.
Happy Hackensack Meridian Health podcast studio. I'd like to say thank you because when I had one of my concussions, Hackensack took very good care of me.
Hackensack's the best. I was just a Hackensack doctor yesterday. They're wonderful.
Shout out to Hackensack Meridian Health and the Hackensack Meridian Health podcast studio. All right, that's a wrap for our show today.
Let's do it.
We wrap it up. All right, for John Schmeelk, I'm Madelyn Burke. Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching this Friday afternoon. We'll see you next time.
Have a great weekend.